Good evening and welcome, viewers. It comes as an air of freshness on the evening of a budget 2 months before a general election to not have election-related sops doled out to the electorate. For it had become accepted tradition by the Chidambaram era to throw carrots to the electorate, one constituency after the other as part of traditional budgetary announcements. Suddenly they'd wake up to women being a constituency. Suddenly they would wake up the night before and say, let's woo the army personnel, like they did on the eve of the 2014 budget, suddenly waking up and saying, okay, let's throw a sop by way of a VC fund to provide concessional finance to scheduled castes and fling them some initial capital to make them happy. This is wrong thinking, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to develop the nation, you cannot do so by throwing carrots at people. This thinking, ladies and gentlemen, this detestful mindset that treated the people of this country, the electorate, as some sort of pre-poll cattle for decades has come to an end with today's budget. It may be an interim budget, but there is a message here. The message that this business of pre-election populism today, I can say with finality, does not belong in the Modi era. Like they did in 2019, and I may even go as far as to say that the 2024 aggression of the Modi government in terms of their surety with themselves of a third term is higher than it was in 2019. This government is more sure, even more sure of being re-elected than they were in 2019. And nothing exudes it more than the union interim budget that we saw Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman deliver today. One, it ditched the populism for the purpose of long-term policy. Two, it went for continuity instead of some knee-jerk reaction to an upcoming election. Three, it solidly rallied behind what it believed in, going down and empowering the poor, the women, widening the ambits of the schemes instead of flicking some freebies to the downtrodden. Four, aggression in fiscal. They've not just been prudent, showing how secure the economy is and giving the longer roadmap for stability. Five, the generosity in capex, an 11% plus increase in a huge capital allocation already for infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen, is no joke. It's commitment that we'll build the country. Commitment will build the roads of the country and the bridges of the country and create the logistics of the country, so no one ever says that China's infrastructure is better than ours. Ladies and gentlemen, this is no joke. It convinces, no matter how cynical you are, that this government of our great nation believes in growth, the belief in investment for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, a 1 lakh crore investment into the sunrise domain tells you that this government, our government, believes into investment, into innovation and the future of technology. 7, the focus of women, not just by way of enhancing schemes, but also by bringing key healthcare announcements into the ambit for women. They are going to the root to solve the problem. And finally, number 8, ladies and gentlemen, this is a budget for all. The Modi government, with continuity and clarity, has delivered a budget which is not pro anyone, which is rather for everybody. No special dole-outs, no special carrots, no one above the other. And like the finance minister said today, this is true secularism. It may prick many in the indie today, but largely the Ivy League so-called economists come politicians, ladies and gentlemen, must accept today that they have been shoved into silence. They don't know how to react. They realize that this government has got the fundamentals absolutely right. And when you get the fundamental right, the incidentals follow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my view. Debate number 1 tonight. Maybe an interim budget, but a budget which has a big message. A big message. And debate number 2 this evening, we have dramatic political events in Jharkhand. But more than what happens and who takes over, we must talk about what Hemant Soren has done. And debate number 3 tonight, we have the brother of DK Shivakumar in Karnataka talking about a separate nation for the South. I mean, what is Rahul Gandhi doing? Does Sonia Gandhi endorse this as well? the secessionist comment by the Indie leader. But first, let's quickly recap the main points in the interim budget presented by Nirmala Sitharaman. There's so much in the budget, but more so I believe that the main headline here is what isn't there. There are no SOPs. There is no desperately putting out carrots. There is not seeking votes in the name of the presentation of a budget. It seems there is a quiet confidence in the Modi government that you don't need to use the budgetary process to try and win an election. Let's debate.
Historic, inclusive, visionary. The interim budget is all about growth, governance and giving direction.
आज का ये बजट इंटरिम बजट तो है ही, लेकिन ये बजट इंक्लूसिव और इनोवेटिव बजट है.
The interim budget lays Modi government's roadmap to Vikasit Bharat.
A pragmatic budget and not a populist one, the budget clearly underlined the government's intent on long-term and sustained economic growth. With FY 2025 capital expenditure increased by 11.1% to 11.11 lakh crore and fiscal deficit for the current financial year revised to 5.8%, the vitals of the budget has provided for growth.
With Lok Sabha polls just weeks away, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman called for a resounding mandate.
When our government, under the visionary and dynamic leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi, assumed office in 2014, the country was facing enormous challenges. With Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas as its mantra, the government overcame those challenges in right earnest. The country got a new sense of purpose and hope. Naturally, the people blessed the government with a bigger mandate.
Industry experts feel the budget encapsulates new definition of GDP.
ऐसे कदम उठाए जा रहे हैं जिससे हमारी इकोनॉमी निरंतर बढ़ती रहे, 2047 में एक विकसित देश बन सके. और जो जिस प्रॉमिस से ये सरकार का इलेक्शन हुआ था, सबका साथ, सबका विकास, सबका विश्वास, उसी की ओर ये सरकार बढ़ रही है.
Looking at fiscal deficit, which is in the current year going to be at 5.8 instead of 5.9, which is better than the original budget. And for next year, in the coming year, it is being pegged at 5.1 instead of 5.4. So to my mind, that's again a very bold measure and a very responsible measure, because that will help to tame inflation.
The Atmanirbhar technology that has been developed in Vande Bharat and many metros, that is going to basically reduce the cost of logistics even further, not only of freight but also passenger traffic. And that's where basically government is now very keen to use indigenously developed technologies.
Opposition claims the government is hoodwinking people just ahead of the mega polls.
हमें देखना है कि कौन सा बजट है. बेरोजगारी से रोजगार मिलने का बजट ही है क्या? ये गरीबों की रोजाना खर्चा करने की ताकत बढ़ाने की बजट है ये क्या? हमारे देश आज विश्व में 111 नंबर सूचकांक पर आ गए.
जो आंकड़े वित्त मंत्री ने प्रस्तुत किए हैं वो बढ़ेंगे. इसका ये मतलब है कि सरकार कर्जा लेकर अपना खर्चा चला रही है.
2014 में जो लंबे चौड़े वादे किए थे अपने कैंपेन में, वो आज तक नहीं हुआ. ज्ञान का एक नया डेफिनेशन मिला, पर ज्ञान में गरीबों के लिए क्या इस बजट में आया, युवाओं के लिए क्या आया, नारी शक्ति के लिए क्या आया? कुछ भी नहीं आया है. सिर्फ उनको ठेंगा दिखा दिया गया. मैं कहती हूँ ठंडे मौसम में ठंडा पानी आम जनता की उम्मीदों पे डालने का काम इस बजट में किया है.
Is the opposition uncomfortable after its assumption over proved wrong? Let's debate.
Us on this budget night, Piyush Goyal, Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution and Textiles. Government of India, who's also the leader of the House in the Rajya Sabha. Mr. Piyush Goyal, it's great to have you another budget night. You've been with me on so many budget nights. This is becoming a ritual. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, your two-worded tweet today whipped up a storm. I noticed it. You put out an interesting clip with it, and all it said was, in July 2024, ... Right, and in that clip, Ms. Sitharaman said that in July 2024, we will put out a detailed roadmap for Viksit Bharat. So, can you put that tweet in context?
Well, I think it's very important to understand that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has relentlessly over the last 10 years worked for the welfare of the people of India. He's consistently ensured that the Indian economy is on the right track of growth, and it's on the strength of 10 years of hard work, sincerely working towards a better future for the people of India, that we have come to a situation where from a fragile 5 economy we are today the world's 5th largest economy and growing at the fastest pace. If you see this 10-year period, the Prime Minister's focus has been very inclusive growth. How do we get the poor? How do we get the marginalized sections of society a better deal? After all, we had governments which came and went for so many years. Nobody thought about the women of the home who had to take in smoke year in and year out. 10 crore people got a free Ujjwala gas connection. Nobody realized the indignity of our sisters and mothers and daughters that they didn't have a toilet. 11 crore families got a free toilet. 4 crore homes, proper pakka homes, were made for the poor of this country. And 20 crore people effectively are leading a better quality of life today. 60 crore people getting free health care. And the list just goes on and on. Broadly showing that the basic needs of every individual, roti, kapda, makan, swasth, shiksha, bijli, sadak, pani, connectivity and getting the basics in place has been Prime Minister's singular objective over the last 10 years. Along with that, he has strengthened the macro economy to a stage where we are today the 5th largest. We have strong fundamentals, control on inflation, control on interest rates, doubled our foreign exchange reserves, have high growth in exports. We have significant job generation and low unemployment rates. In every aspect, the country is now in a position to dream big, to aspire for the bigger goals that this nation needs. And I believe this interim budget and the one Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi will finalize in July 24 are laying the roadmap for the Amrit Kal, 25 years, the next 24 years now, which will define India's road to prosperity, road to a better deal for 140 crore Indians.
Mr. Piyush Goyal, the feeling is a lot of things are coming together now after 9 to 10 years of hard work in terms of making fundamentals right, in terms of building in a digital economy, in terms of demonetization, in terms of GST, in terms of UPI. So the government's got the fundamentals right, and therefore this is that moment of inflection. However, is there any reason for worry as well? Because you see, there is a lot of aggression on the fiscal deficit. The government says we are going to achieve 4% by 24, 25, 26. Some traditional economists say impossible. They say impossible. How can the government? Can you hear me, Mr. Goyal? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Mr. Goyal?
Yeah, I had some disturbance. Now it's better. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So I'll try and explain. Some people say, Mr. Goyal, that the government is putting too tough a target on itself with 4% fiscal deficit while having such generous outlay on capex and such big welfare schemes. What if something goes wrong? What if something goes wrong at a global level? will India's apple cart be overturned? That's, if something like that were to happen. So have you weighed that in?
Arnab, when you started Republic, I'm sure you kept very stiff targets also. A prudent, smart, intelligent person always challenges himself, always challenges the system. And it's only those who dream big, who aspire big, who achieve big. And I think Prime Minister Modi has not failed the nation. In every one of his tasks, he has proven through sheer performance, through grit of, the resilience that he has shown. We've had enough global challenges. We had COVID-19. We are currently faced with 2 wars. We have the Red Sea crisis. The world has gone through turmoil where interest rates in the developed world have skyrocketed. Inflation has been at never before levels. Despite all that, it's the small steps that Prime Minister Modi always focuses on. His practical approach to find solutions. The fact that he's very clear, like Arjun, his eye is very clear that the last man at the bottom of the pyramid should get a better quality of life. There should be a better future for him. I think that is what has held him in good stead. And today, we have such strong macroeconomic fundamentals that we can aspire big. There will be problems, challenges will come. But Prime Minister Modi has converted every single challenge of his life, every crisis that he has faced, into an opportunity to do even better. Whether it was COVID, where I don't know if you saw vaccine wars, I would urge you and your viewers to certainly see vaccine wars. It gives you the confidence as a nation how India can aspire and dream big and achieve big. And I say to the naysayers, not only will we achieve our fiscal deficit targets, not only will we relentlessly pursue the path of welfare for the poor, not only will we make sure that every young boy or girl, every man or woman born in India, every woman of substance that we have, our sisters and daughters, every annadata, the farmers, and every poor person can look for big dreams, can aspire big. Modi hai to mumkin hai, and this is India's time. This is our time where we are going to look for big transformational change and take this country to greater heights.
Okay. To wrap up on a lighter note, do you have to rub it in every time to the opposition? It started with if we are back, then it went to when we are back, and now it has become after we are back. I see every single opportunity, both by the Prime Minister and by you and all other leaders, to make that point relentlessly. Why are you doing that?
Arnab, it's only the trust that we have. ये जनता सब जानती है, जनता बड़ी समझदार है. The people of India are wise. They know what is good for them. They know what the competition has to offer. They want a corruption-free India. They don't like appeasement. They don't like family dynastic rule, dynastic politics. They don't like vindictive politics. But they like when action is taken against those who have stolen from the government treasury. When action is taken against those who have cheated the people of their hard-earned money and the taxes that they pay. And I think Prime Minister Modi is committed to making India truly a global superpower, free of corruption, free of appeasement, and really ensuring that every single person born in India gets a fair opportunity without discrimination. As Mrs. Sitharaman said, that is true secularism.
Right. Well, incredible. Mr. Piyush Goyal, I thank you very much. I wish you best of luck in the elections. And you do know how to make a tweet viral. Workaholic minister in the Modi government, Piyush Goyal, thank you very, very much. Great to have you with us on this budget night once again. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Piyush Goyal setting the agenda out there. I'm joined by Zafar Islam of the BJP, national spokesperson, Ravinder Dal of the Congress, and Akshay Marathe. Akshay Marathe, to start with you first. If there is nothing to criticize, you don't have to try and find water in a rock. You're overdoing it, Akshay. You could have been positive today. We're doing very well. We've got a huge capex. You know, this capex is going to go to all parts of the country. State governments have been incentivized to do more. Social welfare continues. Fiscal deficit is amazing. Actually, I think you have nothing to criticize. Actually, I think you don't. Do you? If you have anything specific which you have a problem with, then you tell Zafar now, and Zafar will take you on to start with.
Arnab, I first want to start off by saying that I completely understand why we have to speak in loud voices on this channel, because I've been hearing your producers talk for the last 30 minutes, and if you conduct this show every day with so many voices whispering in your head, I salute you for your dedication in focusing on what needs to be said. But be that as it may, let me focus on the issue at hand today. Look,
come to the point.
The last 10 years, the Modi government has promised India that they will produce 2 crore jobs every single year. And every budget, every youth of this country is looking at the finance minister expecting that there will be some kind of roadmap that talks about how will these jobs be created. Instead, you have tall promises each year after year after year, instead of communicating what has been done in the previous year to create jobs, what has been done in the previous year to reduce inflation. Instead of focusing on these critical issues, the Modi government is only focused on patting its own back. You saw the minister that spoke right before us, Mr. Piyush Goyal. He had nothing to say about job creation. He had nothing to say about inflation and how the Modi government is going to reduce inflation. This is an election year, but this government is so arrogant that they don't have it in them to even consider that they are accountable to the people of India. The people are crying out loud that we cannot tolerate these high prices. For the last 10 years, Arnab, we have experienced the worst phase of jobless growth that any country may have experienced in the history of the world. We have had such high growth, 5, 6%, 7%, but no single job survey has been conducted in the last 5 years that indicates how much of that growth has gone into the pockets of the people. Or has this growth been entirely concentrated at the top 1-2% of India, the corporate class, the owners of these media organizations, the owners of big sporting companies that are making all the bucks? So the fact of the matter is the people can experience sheer economic pain, and the government does nothing to talk about that and expects that the opposition will have nothing to say against it. Are we supposed to be cheerleaders of the government? The opposition will critique.
You're not substantiating. You're not substantiating. You're not substantiating anything with numbers. You are just making a series of statements. You are not substantiating anything with numbers. You're just saying this is bad, that is bad, this is bad, that is worse. You don't have a single number. You can't substantiate it with a number. Take on Zafar Islam with a number.
Can I just respond? In the central government, what has the BJP said today about filling up those vacancies? 10 lakh jobs can be created in the stroke of a pen.
It's okay, you have spoken.
Okay.
Can I just respond, please? I think, Arnab, let me respond to him.
Go on.
First of all, he must understand. He must understand that this rhetoric will not be receptive to the common man on the street, because they know there's a government who believes in a governance model which actually is helping this governance model which believes in 2 basic points: fairness and effectiveness, and that policy has helped a common man on the street. So they are extremely happy as far as the marginalized section of the society is concerned. But when we talk about the economy, we inherited a fragile economy. Today is the top 5 economy in the world. It's a robust economy, it's a growing economy. And this budget, if anybody was expecting that we should have made so many announcements, perhaps had we made the announcement in this budget, these people would have been criticizing us. So this interim budget was only a vote on accounts, and that is what we have achieved, except one more thing, that we have given direction. Our priority is very clear. We have made our economy very strong. It is growing very fast. The world is acknowledging that Indian economy is growing under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister. It's very strong, it's growing very fast. Secondly, what is more important, that the job creation, when the people are talk about job creation, see the number, NSO number, that this year the unemployment rate is 3.2, which is much better than what we had pre-pandemic level or during UPA level. So this only suggests that the policy initiative, structural reform, policy reform, whatever have been undertaken by the Honorable Prime Minister in last 10 years, actually paying the dividends. Today, who will criticize the Indian economy? Only fools will criticize, because all the macroeconomic parameters, if you see, as the Honorable Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal was talking about, that it was looking terrible in 2013-14 because it was a fragile economy. Now you see the inflation, he was talking about the inflation. Inflation is well in control and it is coming off. The target for next year, RBI has indicated, is at 4.5%. What else you want? 4.5% inflation, which as against the double-digit inflation we have seen during UPA regime. Secondly, the fiscal deficit. What is it with the health of the economy? The fiscal deficit, we had targeted 5.9. Actually, the revised budget estimates is 5.8. And this year the target is 5.1. This only suggests the fiscal prudence, whatever has been expected, about what is being expected from the government, is being followed strictly by the government. Third thing, the ease of living, which is a priority for the government, and that's why all the initiative which has been taken through policy reform by the government to ensure that the common man, the marginalized section of the society, the youth, the women, the annadata, the farmers, and of course these people's interests are safeguarded. They should be the biggest beneficiary. Today, a common man always feels comfortable because there is a leader who understands their concern, and his every policy decision which is being taken by the Prime Minister addresses their concern. When the next budget will come, this was only interim budget. The 2024 budget, which will be presented in July, will capture all the aspiration of youth, our farmers, our Nari Shakti, because the indication in this budget is loud and clear that these are the four pillars will be prioritized, will be focused by through policy decision, and their welfare is the priority for our government.
We'll take a response from the opposition in a minute to the points made by Zafar Islam. But in the meantime, let me quickly go across to Ashwini Vaishnaw, also joining us briefly, Union Minister for Railways, Communications, Electronic, Information Technology, Government of Bharat. Now, Mr. Vaishnaw, what is the need to present a white paper? You know, one part which I found interesting in the Finance Minister's presentation today was she mentioned somewhere towards the end that we're going to put out a white paper where we were and where we are. Is that a defensive move? Is that because of opposition criticism that this is jobless growth, not enough jobs are being created, inflation is high? Is that a defensive move, Mr. Vaishnaw, by the government?
Absolutely not. See, in last 10 years, India has emerged from being one of the fragile five to one of the top 5 economies. Every analyst, every economist in the world is very categorically saying that India is going to grow at 6 to 8% growth rate with inflation under control over the next 5 to 7 years. So that is the kind of trust the world has on us. Employment, if you look at simply the formal employment, the net formal employment opportunities created are of the order of 1.5 million every month. That is the level of formal employment opportunities which are getting created. The white paper is very necessary because the way economy was mismanaged in the UPA government's 10 years, that can be a very important case study for future governments so that those mistakes do not happen today or in future. So it's very important to document what we have done well, what we have not done well, what are the lessons from the past, what are the lessons from the present, so that the future is better documented, future has better data sets to take decisions upon.
That's very interesting. Is it also perhaps because Prime Minister Modi sees the first 10 years of his prime ministership achieving certain basic fundamentals, you know, going through one cycle of structural changes and reforms, and possibly, you know, when the big budget is presented in July, that will set the agenda. It will change a little bit. Maybe there'll be a change of approach. So we are all very keen to know, broadly speaking, what will that change of approach be? You know, we've got a sense of solidity in the economy now, where there is a feeling that we can take a few risks. For example, I found it very interesting, Mr. Vaishnaw, that it was just one casual line where it was said 40,000 coaches will be made of the quality of Vande Bharat. There was a statement like that. You know, it was just one line mentioned, but it was such a major thing. Right. My point to you is, I want an elaboration on that. How much will that cost? Do we have the money for it? How long will it take? Point number one. Point number two, what can we expect in July to go to the next level?
Listen. Prime Minister's economic management has been a very consistent policy-oriented approach. His approach is inclusive growth, make sure that the productivity of the country is well set, make sure that manufacturing is proper, make sure that physical, digital and social infrastructure is done. He has kept a very clear focus on simplification, very clear focus on setting all the parameters right, correct? I see this as a very consistent approach which gives a lot of confidence to the investors domestically as well as globally. So I see that this approach, the basic thinking process through which Prime Minister has managed economy is going to continue. One. Two, as far as the upgradation of coaches is concerned, this is a very important announcement today. If you look at the way railway has been transformed over last 10 years by a Prime Minister, this is a fundamental transformation, this is a major transformation. 10 years back, if you had to go to a station, you would have to pinch your nose. That was the condition. Today, stations are cleaner, trains are better, new technology has come up, 26,000 kilometers of new tracks has been added in 10 years. Last year, we added one Switzerland to our railway network by adding 5,200 kilometers. This year, we are adding 5,500 kilometers of new tracks, adding one more Switzerland. Today's budget has announced 3 corridors which will add one Germany to the Indian railway network, 40,000 kilometers. So it's a complete transformation. New trains, Vande Bharat and Amrit Bharat and Namo Bharat have been added to the network. So the Vande Bharat and Amrit Bharat experience will be used for upgrading the existing coaches which have a residual life. We will be manufacturing new, but the ones which are already in service and have a very significant life going ahead, those will be upgraded by using multiple new technologies, for example, having better couplers, having better toilets, having better braking system, having more charging points, better ventilation, all kind of things that we have learned from the experience of Vande Bharat and Amrit Bharat will be implemented in upgrading these coaches. The cost will be about 15,000 crore over a period of 5 years, and we have the capability, we have the capacity to do so, and now we have the experience of doing it.
Yeah. Last quick question. A common person asks that if the government is doing so well, if so many people have been pulled out of the multidimensional poverty index, if we are doing better, providing jobs, then why does the Modi government, even in this budget, have to reassert that it has and will provide free ration to 80 crore people?
Listen, free ration to 80 crore people is a very important food security program. Look at any country. We are a country which is today a developing country. Look at the countries which are rich, prosperous and had developed decades ago. Even in those countries, there are very big food security programs. We must look at the food security in the context in which food security should be seen. Our country, we need food security because food security puts an element in human nature. Once you have food security, you start taking risks. You can take better, you can go out in a significantly better way compared to the past, where you can start, suppose somebody wants to start out as a contractor. Food security is there, you can start taking risks. You can start developing entrepreneurship. It's a very important element of our approach towards economy. It's humane, it's inclusive, it supports basic necessities of life, and I think this is a very, very significant point.
Well, Mr. Ashwini Vaishnaw, thank you very much. Sense of confidence that the government's coming back in all the statements of the ministers and the finance minister in Parliament today. Mr. Vaishnaw, thank you very much. Thank you, sir. And now, going back to the debate, Mr. Ravinder Dhal of the Congress, you know, I think the government wants to put out a comparison of 2024 versus 2014. I think it's a good idea. I think it will be very embarrassing for the Congress, right? And I think it will put a sense of finality to the ongoing debate of what the government has done. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. There will be any embarrassment if the actual realistic comparison instead of propaganda is done. Then yes, definitely there will be embarrassment for BJP, not for Congress, not at all for Congress, because it is the Congress party which has actually made up and brought India and
economy. Why don't you explain what
present system has been developed by Congress, not by BJP. Yes, they have definitely spoiled it. There is no doubt about it. The only saying that they have done few things for just like they are saying that we are adding 38 kilometers of road per day, ignoring the fact that if we are comparing that time with current time and their way of measurement of the road, then Congress was doing it at 30 kilometers per day, but they will not do that. They are saying that we will bring out, white paper of finances. Yes, we support that. But you should also bring white paper for finances for BJP also, not for Congress. Then let us see where the comparison is lying. They should say that yes, Congress was also developing 30 kilometers of road per day, but they are acknowledging that BJP is doing at 38 kilometers per day. There is not much difference. See, toll tax is much higher than that time. The petrol, diesel prices,
so 1 minute,
prices are much higher than
that
time.
1 minute.
They are taking tax. They are taking
Mr. Dhal,
everything.
But
yet the development is much below the expectation which India needs.
Okay, Mr. Dhal.
What are the prices of the vehicle at that time?
Let Zafar respond. Let Zafar respond to you and maybe give a counter.
Yes.
Arnab, why it is very, very important to come out with a white paper? You know why? In 2000, let me give you some background. I think my colleague or my friend from Congress will understand it better and he will understand the perspective. In 2013, it's not a hidden fact. The world was fully aware that India is a fragile economy and among the 5 fragile economy. And more importantly, since 2000, you just do a back testing and you'll realize, since 1947 to 2006, the size of public sector banks, the balance sheet size of the public sector banks was merely 18 lakh crore. Merely in 6 years or 7 years, from 2006 to 2013, it ballooned to 52 lakh crore. How? All the loans were sanctioned based on not the credit evaluation process, but based on the phone banking or the recommendation which was made through the Prime Minister office or the Janpath. Eventually what happened, what it led to huge NPAs and that is what we inherited. But at that point in time, the Honorable Prime Minister had the option to come out with a white paper and expose Congress party, how they have mismanaged the economy and how they have used bank to extract money and make money through unfair practices. But because nation is first our policy, our party's policy, so we thought it is important to first fix the problem. So we recapitalized the bank. We came out with some important structural, some important legislation to contain the NPAs. We also ensured that banks are healthy and lending is done based on the credit evaluation process. Unlike in the past, 67% of the loan which was given between 2006 2013. Actually, if you just do the analysis, you will realize that EBITDA of those 67% of the companies were negative EBITDA. So from day one, they were not performing. They were not able to generate enough cash to service those debts. So eventually, everything became NPAs. We managed NPAs. We came out of this mess. Today, banks are in a very healthy position. Banks are the credit offtake is going up. The banks are in lending now. The capital adequacy ratio is very high. The bank's health is very good. So now it is the time to come out with a white paper to expose Congress. What was the issue at that point in time? Why we, based on the nation first policy, why we didn't come out with white paper now? Now why we are coming now? Because people can see from their own eyes how it was mismanaged by Congress, how they made money through unfair practices, how they looted the bank. And today banks in such a comfortable position purely because lending is done based on merit, not on the phone banking. And that's why Honorable Prime Minister from day one said,
you made a strong point on banks.
No party man can approach a bank for arranging a loan. So
you made a point on banks.
This is what we have.
Zafar, I want to ask the Congress leader. I want to ask the Congress leader, and before that, I want to say, viewers, if this country has to grow, look around you. You see airports, you see roads, you see development, you see flyovers, you see bridges. Accept it. 10 years back and now the country feels different. Most parts of the country. Of course, there are certain pockets where development is lower, infrastructure is lower. That is sometimes for considerations of the state government. Now, to build all of this, you need money. And the fact is, the Congress party did not put money to building the country's infrastructure. They made a lot of money themselves. Their leaders are very rich. Ravinder, you will accept. But there was no money for roads, bridges, urban settlements and flyovers. In fact, let me tell you, Ravinder, the Congress government in 2014 interim budget reduced plan expenditure by 80,000 crores, killing all the productive government expenditure of the government. Why? Because you had messed up the economy under the great Manmohan Singh so much that the only way to control the deficit numbers and to make them look okay and acceptable was by almost reducing capital expenditure by a great deal. Was that not a disservice to the people of the country, Ravinder? Did you ask the people of the country that, look here, we've mismanaged the economy so much, you won't get your bridge, you won't get your road, you won't get your development? And at that point of time, you had 1.87 lakh crores in capex. Now it's 111,000 crores. Where's the comparison? See, Ravinder, accept it. Congress leaders became very rich, but airports were looking bad, roads did not exist, bridges were not complete. That's the difference between then and now. One example, please respond.
I am responding to the infrastructure question. They are saying that they built 38 kilometer road per day. That is what BJP is claiming. In their proportionate, Congress was developing 30
Answer
kilometers.
my point on capex. Answer my specific point on capex allocations in 2014 as opposed to
now. We are
now.
also developing the roads. What Delhi is seen right now.
Did you not slash plan expenditure by 80,000 crores to manage your fiscal deficit? Did you not cut your plan expenditure by 80,000 crores to adjust your fiscal deficit? Yes or no?
It is not the case that Congress didn't build the expressway.
You didn't have the money for it.
We were having money and we spent. That's what I'm saying, that if they are bringing the white paper, I'm saying yes, they should bring, but they should bring white paper of BJP also. That how they have developed, how they have misled, how they. This is what I'm not saying. In November, it is CAG which is saying. Just say the Expressway around Delhi. What they have done.
You should allow
what cabinet has approved 19 crore per kilometer was.
I mean, we are happy. I mean, let me respond to him.
And what
we are happy.
200 crore per kilometer.
No, we are
Isn't
happy.
that mismanagement of the funds?
No, we are happy.
Where that fund is going?
Listen.
I'm asking.
Listen, I do not want to do tutu meme here, but let me respond to you.
Please say.
We are happy.
Let's say,
If
yes,
you want to
we
come
will
out
bring
with a white paper,
of BJP also.
no,
What is wrong
allow
with
me.
that?
No,
Accept it.
if you really listen to me, listen to me. If you really want to come out with a white paper about our 10 years, please do that.
You are in government.
You will automatically realize that no. Listen, allow me to complete. You will automatically realize that your 10 years of UPA and your 10 years of NDA, there's a contrast. You have mismanaged economy while very efficiently managed by us. And on what basis I'm saying? You will have to see all the fundamentals, macroeconomic fundamentals, and you will realize that how terrible it was at that point in time on how strong it is looking now. Tell me which number you want to talk, and we can discuss about it. But understand that saying white paper, come out with white paper, we welcome. Come on. You will realize we are doing everything.
Let's discuss about GDP, sir.
Keeping nation as our first priority. People as our first priority.
Yeah, we discuss about the GDP.
Family, not the.
I'm discussing about it. GDP of
No, if you discuss on the GDP, if you discuss about GDP, and I'll close with it. 10 years back, we were the 10th largest economy with 1.9 trillion at current market prices. Today, we are the 5th largest, going to be the 3rd largest at 3.8 trillion at current market prices. So where is the comparison out here? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, so I'll wait for the big budget in July. I will wait for the big budget in July, but the big political story is what's happening in Jharkhand, ladies and gentlemen. Is there going to be a change in government after the arrest of Hemant Soren? In a few minutes, the big political story and that debate.